They say the worst part of betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. I used to think that was just a cliche you'd read on a cheap motivational poster. But when you're standing in your own kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at a screen that proves your entire life is a lie, that cliche becomes a physical weight. It sits in your chest. It suffocates you. My name is Mark. I'm 34. And 2 years ago, I executed a plan that dismantled my cheating wife's life, piece by piece. I didn't yell. I didn't get violent. I simply gave her exactly what she deserved. The absolute, unfiltered truth, served publicly. But to understand the end, you need to understand the beginning. Sarah and I met in college. She was 32 when this happened. We had been married for 5 years, together for 10. We had what everyone called the perfect millennial setup. A nice house in the suburbs, a golden retriever, stable careers. I'm a structural engineer, which means hand with it how things are built, where the stress points are, and how much weight a foundation can hold before it collapses. Ironically, I didn't see the structural failure in my own marriage until the roof caved in. Things were good, or so I thought. We had our routines. Movie nights on Fridays, farmers market on Sundays. But looking back, there were cracks, tiny hairline fractures in the concrete that I ignored because I loved her.
It started about 8 months before the discovery. Sarah was a graphic designer for a mid-sized marketing firm. Suddenly, her workload exploded. She was taking on a huge new client named Harrison. Harrison was a local real estate developer. Rich, flashy, recently divorced. At first, it was just late nights at the office. Then it was weekend strategy meetings. I supported her. I cooked dinners, kept them warm in the oven, and rubbed her shoulders when she got home exhausted. But then, the behavioral shifts started. The classic red flags you read about, but convince yourself don't apply to your marriage. Her phone, which used to sit face up on the coffee table, was suddenly glued to her hand. She took it to the bathroom. She took it to take out the trash. When I walked into a room, she'd quickly swipe out of whatever app she was using. When I brought it up, she gaslighted me with Olympic-level precision. "I'm just stressed about the Harrison account, Mark," she'd sigh, rolling her eyes like I was a needy child. "Why are you being so insecure? You know I'm working my ass off for our future." Our future. That phrase hurts the most in hindsight. She started working out obsessively, bought new lingerie, none of which I ever saw her wear. She became hypercritical of me. My clothes were suddenly too boring. My job was too predictable. I was slowly being rewritten in her mind as the villain, the boring anchor holding back her exciting new life. I felt like I was losing my mind. I even went to therapy because she convinced me my paranoia was ruining our marriage.
Then came a Friday in November. Sarah was out at a launch party for Harrison's new development. I was home, cleaning out the guest room closet, looking for an old hard drive. Instead, I found her old iPad, the one with the cracked screen she stopped using 2 years ago. I plugged it in.
just out of curiosity, to see if there were any old photos we could save. It booted up. It connected to our home Wi-Fi. And then, ding. A message popped up on the lock screen. Then another, and another. A waterfall of blue notifications. She had changed her iPhone passcode, but she had completely forgotten that her iMessage was still synced to her iCloud on this old, broken iPad. I stared at the screen. The name on the text thread wasn't Harrison. It was saved as Samantha, Lashtech. But the message on the screen read, "I can still taste you from this afternoon. Your husband is an idiot for not realizing why you look so glowing." My heart stopped. The blood rushed out of my head so fast my vision literally blurred. I remember sinking to the floor of the guest bedroom, the cheap carpet scratching my palms. I couldn't breathe. It was a physical blow, like a car crash you don't see coming. My hands were shaking as I swiped to open the iPad. No passcode on this device. I opened the thread. There were months of messages, thousands of them. Pictures, videos, details of hotel rooms, details of my own bed when I was out of town for a conference. But the physical betrayal wasn't even the worst part. It was the disrespect. I read messages where Harrison, yes, it was him, using a fake name in her phone, made fun of my salary. I read a message where Sarah complained about my boring cooking right after I had spent 3 hours making her favorite anniversary dinner. They were planning a trip to Cabo, funding it using the joint savings account I had been pouring my bonuses into. She wasn't just having an affair, she despised me. She was using me as a comfortable ATM and a house sitter while she lived out a fantasy. I sat on that floor in the dark for 4 hours. I didn't cry. The pain was too deep for tears. What I felt was a cold, absolute clarity. The man who loved Sarah died on that carpet. The man who stood up was an engineer, and it was time to demolish the building. I heard her car pull into the driveway at 1 a.m. I quickly plugged the iPad in behind a bookshelf, hid it, and got into bed. I pretended to be asleep when she slipped under the covers, smelling of expensive cologne and wine. "Don't react," I told myself. "If you blow up now, she'll delete everything, play the victim, and take half of everything you've built." The next 6 weeks were the hardest of my entire life. Every morning I woke up, kissed the cheek of a woman who was actively betraying me, and told her I loved her. I smiled when she texted her Lashtech. I was playing a role, and I deserved an Oscar for it. Monday morning, I took a sick day. I didn't go to therapy. I went to the most aggressive, ruthless divorce attorney in the city, a woman named Claire who looked at my evidence, smiled a very scary smile, and said, "We are going to eviscerate her." I learned a lot about the law in my state. It's a no-fault state, meaning the cheating didn't automatically mean I got everything, but the money she was spending on the affair, that was marital dissipation of assets. Claire gave me instructions. For a month, I became a ghost in my own digital life. I quietly moved half of our liquid savings into an account solely in my name, completely legal as it was my half. I gathered every bank statement, every credit card receipt showing hotel bookings, dinners, and business expenses that matched the dates on the iPad. I also did a background check on Harrison. Guess what? Mr. Big Shot Developer wasn't just divorced, he was married. His divorce was a lie he fed Sarah. He had a wife named Emily and 2 kids. I found Emily's Facebook profile. She looked like a sweet, normal mom. She didn't deserve this either. I had the iPad completely cloned and legally archived by a digital forensics expert my lawyer recommended. I had a mountain of irrefutable evidence. The trap was set. Now, I just needed the right venue.
Sarah's 33rd birthday was approaching. She insisted on having a dinner party at our house. She invited her parents, my parents, our close friends, and her top clients. Yes, she invited Harrison. She told me it was a great networking opportunity. The sheer audacity of this woman was breathtaking. She wanted her husband to serve drinks to her lover in our own home. I told her I would handle the catering and the gifts. I told her I had a very special surprise planned. The night of the party, the house was packed. Her parents were laughing in the kitchen, my parents were on the patio, and there was Harrison, wearing a Rolex, shaking my hand, looking me dead in the eye, and thanking me for my hospitality. I smiled. "Anytime, Harrison. Make yourself at home. You usually do." He didn't catch the double meaning. After dinner, we gathered in the living room for gifts. Everyone was holding a glass of champagne. Sarah was sitting on the center couch, glowing, loving the attention. Harrison was leaning against the wall, smirking. "Before we do gifts," I announced, tapping my glass with a fork. The room went quiet. "I want to make a toast to my beautiful wife, and to honesty, and to transparency." Sarah smiled, but her eyes looked a little confused. "I actually made a special presentation," I said. I picked up the remote and turned on the 65-inch smart TV behind me. I hadn't prepared a slideshow of our vacations. I had mirrored the cloned iPad to the television. The screen lit up, 72-point font, a screenshot of a text message. "Sarah, Mark is so clueless. I can't wait to be at the Marriott with you tonight. Harrison, wear the red thing. I'll expense the room." The room froze. The silence was so heavy, it felt like the air pressure dropped. Sarah's face went from flushed pink to paper white in a microsecond. What is this?" her mother asked, nervous laughter in her voice, thinking it was a bizarre joke. "This," I said, my voice completely steady, "is Sarah's real full-time job." I clicked the remote. Next slide. A photo of Sarah and Harrison kissing in her Mercedes. Click. Next slide. An accounting spreadsheet I had made, showing the $12,000 of our joint money she had spent on him. "Mark, stop!" Sarah screamed, jumping up. She lunged for the TV, but I had the remote. "Stop?" I looked at her. "I'm just being supportive of your networking, honey." I turned to Harrison, who was now sweating through his custom shirt, looking for the exit. "Oh, Harrison, don't leave. I actually had a chat with your wife, Emily, about an hour ago. She's packing up your house right now. I sent her this whole presentation via a Dropbox link. She says hi, by the way." Harrison's jaw dropped. He literally stumbled backward, turned, and bolted out the front door without saying a word. Sarah was sobbing hysterically, begging me to turn it off, looking at her parents. Her father was staring at her in absolute disgust. My mother was crying, but from anger. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a thick manila envelope. I dropped it on her lap. "Happy birthday, Sarah. You have 30 days to respond to the divorce petition. My lawyer has ensured that you won't get a dime of my premarital assets, and you will be repaying the marital funds you spent on your affair. My bags are already in my car. I've prepaid a hotel for myself for the next week. When I get back, I expect all your things to be gone." I didn't wait for her response. I walked through the silent room, hugged my parents, and walked out the front door.
It's been 2 years since that night. The fallout was exactly as catastrophic for her as I had engineered. Harrison's wife, Emily, divorced him and took him to the cleaners. He blamed Sarah for his life falling apart, and he dumped her immediately. Sarah lost her job shortly after. It turns out, when the CEO of a marketing firm finds out one of their employees is sleeping with a married client and causing public scandals, they view it as a liability. The divorce went through because she was so humiliated and because Claire, my absolute shark of a lawyer, cornered her with the financial dissipation evidence. Sarah signed a highly favorable settlement for me just to make it go away quietly. She had to move into a tiny apartment, and from what I hear through the grapevine, she's miserable. As for me, I kept the house, but I sold it 6 months later. I didn't want the memories. I took the equity, bought a beautiful cabin near the lake, and got a promotion at work. I took that dog, my golden retriever, with me. I'm dating again, someone wonderful, someone who communicates, someone who leaves her phone face up on the table. If there's a moral to this story, it's this: betrayal is a choice, and when someone makes the choice to destroy your reality, you owe them nothing. You don't owe them a screaming match, you don't owe them closure. You just owe yourself the self-respect to gather the facts, secure your future, and let the truth do the destroying for you. Thanks for listening. If you're going through something similar right now, keep quiet, get a lawyer, and remember, the best revenge isn't just living well. The best revenge is letting them blow up their own life while you walk away without a scratch.